Yo, GOP! What? Let's kick it!
Ice, ice, baby.
Speaking truth to those powers and being able to say, look, I'm not going to go with the lie just because you tell me to go with the lie. I mean, that's one of the most important things to do.
We're getting into a real bad position. The problem, grabbing a hold of us tightly. Illegals flowing.
Students, I've interacted with Muslims. I've got Muslim students that I've had over the years. I mean,
Yo, GOP! What? Let's kick it!
Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby.
All right, stop. Illegal immigration and listen. We're getting into a real bad position. Problem, grabbing a hold of us tightly. Illegals flowing in daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. It's turning into a real shit show. Getting extreme. Some of them are even vandals. It's pretty apparent this is a problem we should handle. Open the photos to everyone. The DNC says because it's so damn dumb. Deadly. When we don't vet intensely. You can come on in even though you got 10 felonies. Love it or leave it. Get out of the way. There's people following the laws who'd like to get in today. There's a problem on our border, but yo, we can control it. Build a bigger wall and let the agents patrol it. Ice, ice,
Armed
baby.
United States officers patrol the fence, waiting for the Mexican police to restore order.
The system's still broken.
Ice, ice, baby.
And to truly deal with this issue, Congress needs,
Ice, baby.
and that moment is now.
So apparent, what the left is dumping. Let illegals in and get the Devo pumping. This is the point that we know you're making. Cooking up your vote like a pound of bacon. Telling them what they want to hear. You're so damn transparently clear. We got free stuff we want to give to you. All you got to do is now vote us through. Rolling, here comes a 5-0. You better run and hide or you'll have to go. Sanctuary city, I get all the pity. Did you hide? Hell no, I get set free. Kept on pursuing all this lunacy. The left pushes with the busted ideology. It's very clear, yo, what they really want, aka build that voter block. Illegals voting for Democrat weenies. It doesn't even matter if they're still in the teenies. Jealous, red winning all the time, bringing in hip bartenders, serving the Corona and the lime, obstructing, yo, building the wall, cause the Trump gets a bill in 2020, they fall. It's immoral, you know, they like to say 5 years ago, it was A-okay. Obama is right, you know there is a crisis. Trump is wrong, cause he is a racist. Your hypocrisy and logic is whack. You think we're so damn stupid and we don't know jack. Thought police are on the scene, you know what I mean. They censor us, promoting the fake news feeds. Problem on our border, but yo, we can control it. Build a bigger wall and let the agents
But
control
this
it.
is a bill that's largely consistent with the principles that I and the people on this state have laid out for common sense reform.
But we will not allow our generosity to be abused by those who would break our laws.
Well, take heed, because these words, they are pathetic. You're gonna lose the game because you do not really get it. The good people of the US of A are thoroughly sick and tired of all the games you play. Because many now taking the red pill and getting cured of all your crazy leftist ills. Freedom and liberty, it's a hell of a concept. We show the light, and they want to get with this. It don't matter who you are when you come here legally from near and far. Help us make America great. File your paperwork, my friend, and then patiently wait. Keep the good Western values dear to your heart. Become a legal citizen and then do your part. There's a problem on our border, but yo, we can control it. Build a bigger wall and let the agents patrol it.
But we will not allow.
That's largely consistent with the principles that I and the people on this state
Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby.
First of all,
Mass uncontrolled immigration
Yo,
is
man.
especially unfair
Gotta
to
get
the
out of
many
here. Word to your
wonderful,
mother.
law-abiding
Here's the way it
immigrants
is.
already living here
Sorry, my friend.
who followed the rules and waited their turn. Some
that
have
we
been
don't like
waiting
you.
for many years. Some have been waiting for
Just like the man
a
says.
long time. They've done everything
Just gotta come
perfectly.
in legally.
And they're going to come in.
No,
At some point, they're going to come
I'm
in.
not a racist.
Many cases
Gotta-
very soon. We need them
Brown
to
people
come
don't
in.
scare me.
Because we have companies coming into our country. They need workers.
Gonna have to come in legally.
But they have to come in on a merit basis, and they will come in on a merit
No,
basis.
we just got rules.
The community.
go.
Hey guys. Hey, so yeah, thank you to SJG Perspective for that awesome parody that he did there. It was pretty funny. You probably can't hear me. Oh yeah, you can. Okay, sorry guys. Anyway, so yes, thank you everybody for being here. Real quick, right off the bat, I just wanted to ask everybody that's here watching, and my subscribers, anybody who follows me on Twitter, if you use Twitter yourself, if you could please get on Twitter and just message YouTube, just message at YouTube something for me. Just ask them to please review my channel for remonetization. I've been waiting for multiple months now. I've been emailing them. It's getting me nowhere. So I feel like maybe if I can get some people to start tweeting them, maybe that will get the let out and they'll get that done finally. I don't know, but if you have nothing better to do, maybe do that for me real quick. I'd appreciate it. And real quick, I wanted to introduce a new guy that we have with us named Rational Wrongthink. He's got a YouTube channel. It's really good. You all should check it out. I'm going to have my buddy Miles here, our moderator Miles, who's going to post the links for us, and he'll post a link to Rational Wrongthink's channel for all of you. You should go check it out. But as you might have guessed from the headline for this live stream, that we're going to talk a little bit about, Russian collusion and Barr and his recent interview on CBS. If any of you caught that, I did put out a video for it yesterday. Kind of a weird time, so most people may not have seen it. But I have brought on the guru of everything Russian collusion, Robert Noerr, and of course our favorite SJG Perspective. So we have all of them with us. Guys, they can actually hear you right now, so go for it.
Oh, okay. I thought we were still muted. We were being quiet.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got everybody here today, and right off the bat, I just wanted to, and before we get into any of the Russian collusion stuff, I want to talk just a little bit to our new guy, Rational Wrongthink, or he wanted us to call him Ratty. He comes from Australia, and it's pretty early for him right now. He got up really early to talk to us today, and over there in Australia. Yeah. Hey, welcome, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. He's going to be a black screen, guys. We don't know why. He's got an avatar, but it's not working. And he doesn't want to get on camera because he actually does a job where he's worried that if anybody knew who he was or got out that he had these opinions, he might actually lose his job. Over in Australia, they don't really have freedom of speech like we have it over here in the United States. Although it's quickly happening here as well. It's not just Europe and Australia anymore. It's happening here as well. But welcome, Rational Ratty.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk a little bit about Barr, and of course I want to go to Robert for that right off the bat, just because he knows everything apparently. And I want to get your opinion on this CBS interview. I'm not sure how many of you saw it. I'm probably gonna play a couple little clips about it, but. So what did you think about it, Robert? I mean, did you glean anything interesting from that?
For me, I think that Barr made the mistake of assuming that Mueller was someone who was impartial and that he was actually concerned with having a fair investigation. And I think that you're starting to see that with the treatment that Barr's getting from the Democrats and from the media and the way he's responding, little things he said, that he's starting to realize little by little that actually Mueller wasn't an independent counsel as he was supposed to be, that he's shirked his duties. He was supposed to come to a conclusion of whether or not a crime was committed. And not only that, he then wanted to have his cake and eat it too by coming out and basically tongue-in-cheek, wink, wink, nod, nod. Oh, by the way, Congress should have impeachment hearings. And I think you could tell that Barr's frustrated. He's a lawyer. He's doing things by the book, and he's just saying, look, it's not the job of the special counsel. It's not the job of the Department of Justice to kind of opine whether or not they think someone's a good person or to do investigations for impeachment hearings and things like that. They literally have one job, and that is to investigate and prosecute crimes. If there is not enough evidence, or for whatever your reason is in Mueller's case, he has this weird theory about the OIC opinion, or the OLC opinion, that he can't recommend charges in the first place, then Barr's basically saying, okay, then that's it. That's your job. You don't get to opine. And the one thing I'll say about it real quick, look at the difference between how Mueller's handling his situation versus look at the IG Horowitz. Horowitz already did one investigation into the Hillary investigation. And he basically, if you read that report, I thought it was absolutely damning to Comey and the FBI. Yet the media didn't cover it that way. And Horowitz kept his mouth shut. He wasn't out there saying, I'm concerned with how the media is covering it. He just said, okay, I did my job. I put forth the evidence that people were able to see. That's it. And right. I think Barr's, getting frustrated with that.
Well, to that point that you're talking about, IG Horowitz, if you remember, they put out that summary. Remember, the media got that summary of the report, and the summary was like, "Oh, the media basically came out and said, oh, the investigation found no bias." But yet, if you read the report, it was filled with bias.
Yeah.
And so it's like, who wrote? Yeah.
He specifically said, Horowitz actually said that he couldn't conclude conclusively that bias affected decision. There was certainly bias. He couldn't conclude, though, that it was conclusive that the bias affected basically letting Hillary off the hook. However, he even went so far as to say he couldn't he basically didn't have enough confidence to say even that when it came to Peter Strzok and the FBI's prioritization of the Russia investigation over the Wiener laptop, which is fun to say. Wiener
That is fun to say.
So, I mean, it goes to show, but Horowitz handled it like you would assume a professional would handle it, a professional in law enforcement. He didn't come out and say, wait, I don't like how the media is covering this. He didn't send notes to Rosenstein or to Sessions saying, hey, I don't like how the media is covering this. He didn't have his lawyers and people on his team leaking stuff to the press and things like that. Mueller, who I've been saying from the get-go, he is not. He is just a mouthpiece, another deep state actor that was out to screw over Trump, and we can get into the litany of ways.
Right, and that's something that bugged me actually, was that, look, like you said, special counsel's job is to find evidence of a crime and then decide whether to prosecute or not. And he went out there and made that statement to the world, and he said, we couldn't, if we could have cleared him of a crime, we would have, or something to that effect. Like, why would you say that? That, like, to me...
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, man. No, I was just going to say, blatant why he says it. It's because he's not... It's so... And the fact that the media is not being honest and in talking about this. The reason he said that is just to keep this thing in the ether and to keep it up in the air and not just put it to bed, because they want this thing lingering, which I think is a bad move on them, but they want this thing lingering through coming up into the next election cycle. That's the only, and it shows his partisanship so blatantly, but it also just, again, it just goes to emphasize, if you have any doubt of the mainstream media and who they're pulling for and what their partisan leaning is, and that they're not just reporting the facts and only the facts, what more evidence do you need throughout this whole scenario?
I know. I always say, like, folks, just imagine this was going the other way around. Like, it was a Republican administration and they had a really popular Democrat, and then all these investigations, and they're like, I just can't imagine any of this happening if it was going the other way around. The media would be taking a completely different stance. They'd be where we're at right now, which kind of,
Buddy on the chat here, he says, I mean, that's something I was going to bring up as well. Understand that Barr comes out and gives this letter, in which all the anger at the media and the Democrats over Barr, keep in mind what it's about. Well, first, never forget, they lied to you for 2 years about Russia collusion. That was a lie. So everything else that we're talking about is just the next level of the lie.
And you notice the collusion talk is mysteriously gone from the media.
Yes. That was the most important thing. That was that was an attack on our democracy. That was something we needed to focus on, possibly go to war with Russia. Now all of a sudden that's in the back burner. Now we're talking about obstruction. But to go on with their second line, what Buddy's saying here is there's all kinds of little nuances, right? So Barr comes out and says, here's my summary of the report. Mueller doesn't like it and says, I'd like you to release more. Barr basically says, guess what? In 2 weeks, we're releasing the whole damn thing anyway, so why do we have to release more snippets? Releases the whole thing. The media gets, they're upset about Barr's summary instead of just looking at the damn report themselves. But anyways, now what you see is Barr correctly says at that point, look, I called Mueller and was like, was there anything in my report you thought was, or my summary you thought was inaccurate? And he claims Mueller said no. Now Mueller comes out with this press conference, and Barr's office and the office of the special counsel puts out a joint statement afterwards saying, again, nothing Barr said in his summary was incorrect, that those two statements can't jive with each other. And this is where you see Mueller being slippery. Why won't Mueller testify? Why is Mueller advocating not testifying in front of Congress? Well, I don't know if you realize this, but Republicans get to ask him questions too. And one of the things they're going to ask him is, okay, so we had the media say for 2 weeks that Barr's summary, which basically said two things. There was no charge of Russian conspiracy with any American, let alone a Trump member.
None.
And second, that they could not exonerate nor indict Trump for obstruction of justice. That's it. That's all Barr's summary said. Yet we're supposed to believe that he needs to be impeached. He needs to be held in contempt over that. They know if they would ask Mueller would then be forced to tell the truth, which would be, I did talk to Barr on the phone, and I did tell Barr that his conclusions were accurate. Right. So Mueller doesn't want to be put in that position.
Because he loses all credibility. He'll lose so much credibility if he does that.
My thing is, he told, and wrong thing, I want you to say something after this, but Mueller screwed himself when he said that his only, basically, or heavily implied at least, that his reasoning for not not indicting Trump was that the OLC opinion of not, indicting a sitting president. But like you just said, Rod Rosenstein and Barr spoke to Mueller, and he told, and basically that he was emphatic that that was not the only reason. So right there, you've got a conflict. Somebody's lying, and obviously Congress is going to want to get to the bottom of that. So, like, it amazed me that he said that, and then he was like, and I don't expect to have to come to speak to Congress again. It's like, dude, you just put out something out there that's a conflict. They're going to want to question you.
Be on camera.
Well, I think another thing, if I was a Republican, one question that I would be wanting answered is, when did Mueller know that there had been no collusion? That would be probably one of the first questions I would ask, because this investigation was dragged out over a very long period of time. And then you think about just before the conclusion finishes, Roger Stone and that amazing incident that happened where CNN just happened to have a reporter out the front of his house at 4 a.m. or whatever it was when armed guards run through the place. Did Mueller at that time believe that no collusion had occurred? They are the kinds of questions that I would want to be asking, because that will get to whether or not this issue was just purely for theatre for the last probably 6,
yes,
8,
and that's
12,
why it
right.
won't happen. And I think that's why impeachment is ultimately not going to happen, because for one, and something I was going to bring up anyway, but there's just a new Harvard poll out today, actually, saying that the majority of Americans do not want impeachment. So, and that's going to be their
Trump, wouldn't it?
I'm sorry?
It would be a gift. It'd be a gift for Donald Trump if they tried to.
It absolutely would be.
Yeah.
And if Mueller testifies exactly like SJG and Roberts said, it's not going to be good for the Democrat or the media or their narrative. And let's be honest here. I think they are nervous about what's going to happen with this investigation.
I mean, that's what the smearing of Barr's about. The last time I was on with you, we talked about this. Like, they know, the Democrats know, and the people in the intel community, the Brennans, the Clappers, the Comeys, they know what's coming. They fear that Barr will be someone who is actually interested in justice and not being partisan. And because of that, they need to smear him now. They have to lay that groundwork. That way, when they know what Barr's going to find out. And so when Barr says, here's all the shady stuff but for example, it seems to me more than likely, this is getting into the weeds. This is something very specific, but just one specific issue. You had, let me get this right. I think it was Brennan, who was working for CNN, who tells CNN about the dossier. CNN then says, we can't run the story on the dossier until we have a hook or a reason to run it. Brennan then tells Comey, you need to have a meeting with Trump about the dossier and the allegations in it. Comey then has that meeting, and that meeting is used as the impetus and the hook for the story that CNN ultimately runs. Now, when it comes out that the dossier was garbage and that they know it and they never verified it, and it comes out that Brennan was leaking these results himself to CNN to smear the president, that's going to look real bad and possibly be a crime. So what do? You smear the guy who's going to find all of that evidence. And that's just one little snippet. It's going to be really bad. You're going to start to see that actually this investigation began before July of 2016, that the FBI and the CIA was sending spies and intelligence assets to people like Papadopoulos and Carter Page. They gave Papadopoulos, for example, they gave him a briefcase full of money, a CIA asset did, and then he got in a plane and the FBI raided him as he got off the plane. Luckily, Papadopoulos was smart enough to not take that money with him on the flight. And so it's a comedy of errors. Again, Hillary said it best, wall hang if I lose. And it's because they didn't care. They were so brazen, they barely covered their tracks. The only thing that's keeping them going is that we haven't had someone with kind of the call for justice that Barr has, and we have a media that has been doing the opposite of their job and hiding all of this corruption on behalf of the same deep state that they're supposed to investigate.
And again, here's some things going back to, and it's so classic what they do in situations like this, and we're talking about it, is that they always look over here. They hide this shiny object. They just move over here. So what happened? Why aren't we talking about the fact again? Why has it been pushed down that there was no collusion? Why has it been pushed down where the dossier even started from, right? That was started by Hillary Clinton. Why is it not pushed that all the, you know, the spying on Trump and all this other stuff? Where has all of that gone? Why is that just evaporated into the ether? And now we're back to, did Trump obstruct a crime that didn't commit? How, again, and that's the other point. How do you obstruct a crime that did not even commit, or that happened?
And so the answer to that is that we have a lot of powerful people, the media, the Democrat Party, who are heavily, I mean, literally CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, all these networks have all of their credibility invested in this. And ultimately, it's looking like they were all just part of, an effort to undo a democratic election. And so that's the only reason. I mean, they're just, it's self-preservation at this point, I think.
Dronetek, like what you've always done that I love is you hold the media to account as good as anyone that I've seen. And to me, this is a crucial point where we quite literally have the media, all the groups that you just made, all the mainstream media that's controlled by the establishment. We have them coming out, not just saying, well, we didn't see evidence of a crime, saying that it would be bad for Barr to start to investigate people like Comey and the beginnings of the Russia investigation. I do that. That means that if we do see that there is any evidence of crime or wrongdoing on the intel community or Obama's administration in the start of the Russia investigation, which looks likely, how does the media ever recover from that? I mean, they're already in shambles, but now they're literally going to have to say, oh, our bad, sorry we covered up, like the intel agencies working with President Obama to go after his political rival. Like, and in other news, Trump's bad because of this. Like, how do they recover? And I think that's why you're starting to see people like you becoming more popular, because average people, I don't care if you like Trump or not, if you're a socialist, capitalist, whatever, like, you can't trust these mainstream outlets. They have no interest in telling you the truth. Their interest is, at this point, covering up for the same establishment that allows them to become so wealthy and powerful themselves.
And it's more than just covering up for them. It's about, it's about completely pushing a false narrative. It isn't even, it's about just straight propaganda. It's not about like, we're going to cover up for these bad people. We're going to use the power of our pulpit, and we're going to push the same talking point to program the people how we want them to think. Truth has no relevancy.
That was what I wanted to take away from the Barr interview, actually, was the way that he consistently went after the media. So he was saying, it's interesting that the media aren't looking into how this investigation began. The media is not looking into whether Comey and Brennan and Clapper and all these other guys committed a crime. The media are now opposing, that the people who have made their living out of releasing intelligence information and classified documents are now saying that classified documents should not be released.
Right, and you know what? That's a great point. And actually, real quick, that's a great point. And if you look at all the leaks that have transpired over the last 2 years, they all went out to left-wing networks, and they all were in service of undermining Trump. So, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Connect the dots. It's not hard.
It's always been going one way. I was very interested. I'd really like to look into that journalist thing that you mentioned, because I reckon we're seeing that still in action here now, where you have this absolute coordination between, CNN and the Democrats.
Absolutely.
From being on the other side of the world from you guys, it's unbelievable to me just watching what is going on and the way that the media portrays it and the way that the media portrays Donald Trump. There's this complete breakdown between what's actually happening and what the media tells people is happening. It's quite a stunning.
It is.
Thing
and
to see.
Right. And, I'm an 80s kid. I grew up on, I loved Arnold Schwarzenegger. One of my all-time favorites always was Running Man. I feel like we're living Running Man right now. It's so much like that. And it is. It's insane. Like, okay, so, guys, I've been doing this for a long time, going back to before the Iraq War, even like the end of the Clinton years, and when the internet was first coming out, I was doing this stuff. And I'm telling you, like, it was bad during the Bush years. It got really bad, especially with the Iraq War. They had a lot of ammunition, but the media often took the sides of our enemies against Republicans and stuff. It was bad. It was a lot like now, but not as bad. It's gotten way worse. And it's so, to me, it's so blatantly obvious. It's like, how does anybody at this point honestly argue that our press is some sort of objective, truth seeker, defender of democracy? They're clearly not. They clearly are political tools. They they speak for the Democrat Party. And if you look at, they spend all this time saying, oh, look at Trump, he's saying all these good things about North Korea and all our foreign adversaries, but look at the media and the left. They take China's side against Trump in the trade war. When it comes to Mexico, they're like, oh no, we don't slap tariffs on Mexico. Like, why are they taking Mexico's side? They're doing the same shit.
Do you remember in the I think it was the Winter Olympics where Kim Jong-un's sister was at the Winter Olympics, and the media were fawning over her and talking about how beautiful and how wonderful she was, and how she had this amazing diplomatic coup over, I think it was Pence that was there, was it?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're saying this kind of stuff, and she's the propaganda minister in North Korea who is playing a part in the killing of thousands of people. And yet at the same time, the media, while they're doing that and they're getting all moist over this woman, at the same time they're attacking Donald Trump for wanting to have a meeting with Kim to try to put an end to the hostility that's going on. Like, they don't even have a consistent line for their propaganda. It is just hate and hysteria at all costs, and
Orange man bad. Orange man bad.
And that's exactly the point, right? Like the thing is, people like us, we have the free time, or we're lucky enough to have the technology or whatever to be able to look into a lot of this. But it's very difficult if you're only casually observing. You're someone who's in the 95.
And that's who these people prey on. That's who they're preying on.
That's right. And so the only way you could keep this going, this type of propaganda going, is through ignorance. Because what I like to do is just point out the blatant hypocrisy in situations. And so, like, for example, what you just said, Rational, is a great point, right? When Trump talks or says anything remotely positive about Kim Jong-un. Now, look, do I think that's a good thing? I think Kim Jong-un is a maniac. He's a murderer, right? But I understand what Trump's trying to do. He's trying to butter up this tyrant for the better of the world, right? Like, hey, if I kind of praise this guy here and there, maybe he'll stop his nuclear program. So I get it. But the media attacks Trump when he does that, like, oh, he's buttering up a dictator. This is so terrible. Meanwhile, like you just said, Rational, in the Winter Olympics, they did the exact same thing with the Minister of Propaganda from North Korea. And this occurs over and over again. The sad thing is, even with, like, as bad as the media is, at least there used to be, back in the day, the idea that you would have people from both sides debating each other. We don't see any of that now. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm utterly convinced that anyone that's a Democrat,
you're the smartest person in the world, but okay.
Anyone that's a Democrat or in the mainstream media, if you let me sit down with them for 10 minutes that are screaming impeachment, I would make them look utterly foolish. Like, here's the one double standard you need to understand. Trump firing Comey and having mean tweets about Robert Mueller, that's considered obstruction. The very same people did not think it was obstruction when Hillary Clinton's team deleted subpoenaed emails. Like, that's it. What are they saying? Instead of mean tweets, if Trump would have just deleted all the evidence that was requested of him, then it wouldn't have been obstruction. Like, it's laughable. Anyone with half a brain could see this, but the average person, they don't get to hear this information. They don't know. It's all this jargon of what's a crime.
Right, it's hard to follow.
Right, and so, what I try to do is, like, look, let's just say you have two people. One person complains about an investigation that turns out he didn't commit a crime in the first place. And is that considered obstruction? Or would it be worse to have a person who did commit the crime they were accused of, and they deleted evidence that the law enforcement agencies subpoenaed from them? It's cut and dry. Anyone can see it. But I have to listen to Chris Cuomo and Anderson Cooper and everyone at the New York Times and Don Lemon tell me, oh, what Trump did, this is obstruction. This is such a huge deal. Meanwhile, they're casting votes for Hillary after they know she destroyed subpoenaed evidence. They didn't have any problem with that whatsoever. That's why you can't take them seriously.
Robert, this is what I'm talking about precisely when I'm always repeatedly saying that they can rationalize anything and that makes them dangerous. This is exactly what I'm talking about, and it's just escalating, and it will continue to escalate. And I have no idea where this will end, but, I mean, you had Joy Behar on The View a couple weeks ago saying she wanted to lock up the whole GOP. So who knows where this will lead, but, yeah. So,
Gulag.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the gulag.
So I want to play just as quick. I'm wondering, like, what are the actual chances that this is going to end with people that should be getting their comeuppance actually getting them? And I think AG Barr really hinted at that, and I just kind of wanted to play this clip real quick, and then maybe we'll talk about it. I'm just going to, because I don't have any better way. It's playing now, guys. I know you can't hear it.
that could not be released by law to the public or to Congress. So he expected the report when
Hold on, I got to find it again, guys. Sorry.
Really changing the norms on the grounds that we have to stop this president. That's where the shredding of our norms and our institutions is occurring.
In an exclusive CBS News interview,
yeah, I'm still doing it, guys, because I'm. I know this is
why you're doing that. I'm going to put something over while you're doing that. Let me know when you're done, okay?
Well, hold on,
okay.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find this.
No problem.
I really see no evidence.
I had a funny meme I'm going to put up when you're done.
Really changing the norms on the.
Oh, that's the same one. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, folks. I know this is very painful.
Have you seen?
No, it's not.
Here we go.
What makes you think I need to take a look at this?
Like many other people who are familiar with intelligence activities, I had a lot of questions about what was going on, and I assumed I'd get answers when I went in, and I have not gotten answers that are at all satisfactory, and in fact have probably more questions, and that some of the facts that I've learned don't hang together with the official explanations of what happened.
What do you mean by that?
That's all I really will say. Things are just not jiving.
So, yeah, that's where I finished on that. There, hey, that's cool. Look at that. But yeah, I mean, he just straight up says right there that he's already, and we've been talking about this for a long time, over a year probably now. So we know that there's stuff that's not jiving, but he's actually putting it out there now. That I think that's a good sign. I mean, what do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure he's learning more than even we hear. Like, for example, one of the things that you hear scuttlebutt about now is, was there more FISA warrants than just Carter Page and George Papadopoulos? And so he might be finding out, wow, it was a whole litany of people. But when you look at it, just the evidence we have publicly available, take the name Trump out of it, take Republican and Democrat out of it. You have a sitting president and his party that used the intel agency to spy on his opponents based on opposition research that they paid for that turned out to not be true, that was sourced by the very country, Russia, that you're claiming to investigate and say has been attacking us and trying to create division in our country. If Donald Trump, and what I always tell people, I have tons of friends that are left-leaning, and what I tell them is, what would you do if going into 2020, let's say that it's, Bernie Sanders, or let's say it's Joe Biden. Joe Biden wins. Let's say that Trump's like, oh, he pays a foreign spy from Britain to find out that a bunch of Chinese agents say, yeah, Biden came and got peed on in a bed in China. And by the way, everyone in his staff's actually a Chinese spy. And so then just spied on Biden. It turns out that's all a lie after a 2-year investigation. People would be calling Trump the biggest dictator in the history of the United States. Democracy's been destroyed. Yeah. And they'd be right. But when it happened to Trump, their hatred of Trump allows them to be like, well, screw him, he deserved it. And what I keep trying to tell people is the reason you should be concerned is, I don't care what your issue is. Is it climate change? Is it gun rights? Abortion? Your voice doesn't matter if we have unelected bureaucrats in the intel agencies that are allowed to use their massive power to tip the scales of an election. It doesn't matter what your issue is. And so all the progressives that think this is funny, haha, it happened to Trump, guess what? When you want to get a real progressive in there that would want to do, for example, be anti-war or actually try to help poor people, not that I agree with a lot of their policies, but someone who meant well, like a Tulsi Gabbard, she'll never get elected because they'll use the exact same tools on her. It's all about keeping this hegemonic power for the establishment. Right. And both the people at the top of the Republican and Democratic Party are involved with it. That's why you see people like McCain, Jeff Flake, and others that were involved with this.
So, yeah.
I think that's one thing the left don't understand, that whatever you say that it's okay to do to your enemies, you're saying it's okay to do to my friends. It's a very Socratic thing. If I say that I can hurt others, I'm saying others can hurt me. And is that the path that you want to go down? And if you're living in a country that ostensibly is some form of democracy, as the US is, and I know it's a what do you call it?
Republic.
Republic. You have that democratic institution, but that democracy, in order to function, it needs to run according to certain principles, and those principles are being just absolutely run roughshod over by the intelligence agencies, by the media, by the Democrats, and that is not a good basis for a system to run, because the Democrats can start to do that, and I don't think any of us want that. I'm a supporter of Trump, but I don't want him abusing power in the way that it's alleged that was done under Obama. Right. Even though it would work in my interests, so to speak, I can see the long term and see that this stuff, this abuse of power, even if it's done to support people that I support, is actually working against my interest.
Right.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, though, is that they never expect that standard will ever be applied to them. And they're so used to it because that's just how it is in our society. It has been for, I would say, I mean, for me, at least like 3 decades, but maybe it goes back further. I'm not really sure about that. But they're just so used to it that they know that those standards won't be applied to them. And if the Republicans try to, like if the shoe's on the other foot, they'll just take the opposite stance, and we can call them hypocrites all we want. It'll get us nowhere. So,
and think of where Barr's coming from. Like, Barr wrote this letter, and this was one of the things the media and the Democrats went. Barr kind of wrote this opinion piece before he was AG, where he was like, I really don't think that any of this stuff that they're accusing Trump of doing of obstruction is obstruction, because basically a president can do whatever the hell he wants when it comes to the executive branch. He can fire whoever he wants. So Barr wrote this opinion piece, and the Democrats got all fired up. I try to picture, this is just my gut feeling what's going on, but I feel like Barr's sitting at home before he's AG, and he's like, look, I'm a career intel agency man. I'm a career Justice Department official, was a former AG. And he's probably saying, like, wow, things are getting a little shady. So when he got the opportunity, came in, he was like, hey, I'm going to try to do my best. If Trump worked with Russia, I'll come out and say, yeah, that's what Mueller found. If not, we'll try to. He's trying to be level-headed about it. I think he's kind of shocked to see just how incredibly abusive the intel agencies have become under Obama, and even possibly before that under other administrations. And so when he's trying to point it out, he's like, yeah, they spied on a presidential candidate and on a president. Like, isn't that a big deal to everyone? And when the media attacks him and says, how dare you say spy? That's why he came out right. I thought it was hilarious. He's like, I think spy is a good English word. Like,
right.
Like, I don't think he can believe the treatment he's getting. And the more he digs, I think he's kind of, you can see it more and more in his interviews.
It's kind of like, fuck it.
Yeah, and they ask him in this interview, right? In this, I think it was the CBS interview. They say, well, what do you think about your reputation? You're risking your reputation. He's like, hey, we all die.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're saying there.
OG.
Like, I don't give a shit.
OG.
I don't give a shit about my reputation. I care about justice. And what I'm seeing, like, sickens me. Like, what happened is grotesque. And the fact that the media, that should be his ally. Like, media should always be speaking to power. I don't care if it's someone I support or not. Instead, they are working at behest of that power.
Yeah.
And I think Barr's had a gutful, which is good for us, because I think it'll drive him to find the truth, you know?
Yeah, and I will say, real quick, SJG, I just want to, about that, on that point, the CBS interview, during that interview, AG Barr did chide the media. He criticized them and said, look, you are supposed to be the check on government, and yet you show no interest in this at all, because it's not working for a end goal that you want. And you know what? Good luck finding video of that. I have not been able to find it. And actually, of the two, I have 2 clips here of it. One of them starts, because I've read the whole transcript, one of them starts literally after that statement. And literally, it starts right after that. So they intentionally cut that out, and they don't want people seeing it. But he nailed it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say, my sister RF Renee is in the house. She's sitting next to me out of camera here, but she made a point that went off of Roberts, and I thought she should share too. Go, Kim.
Go, Kim.
Go.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say that I totally agree. I listened to part of that interview, and I think the one thing that makes Barr stand out is he's fearless, and he can be fearless because, as you have said, he's already got his career. His ego is not based on whether or not he's going to make a career in this industry. He's already done that, and he already has a reputation that's sterling. So he can flip the birdie to the media and say, I don't care about my reputation. As he said in the interview, I'm going to be dead. What I care about is this department's reputation, and I'm going to make sure that when I'm dead, that reputation goes on beyond me.
Right. I think you're absolutely right about that. Yeah. And I almost took, and I did a video on it, I said it in the video, but I almost took those parts where they were saying that, almost like threatening him. Almost like, oh, you don't want this to be how you end it, do you? Like, you don't want to do this.
What has he done? Like, if you just saw the media, like, let's say you just woke up from a coma and you're just hearing this story now. You'd be like, oh my goodness, they're saying this guy's like a hatchet man for Trump. He's like the Ministry of Truth. He's doing all this terrible stuff. What is it that he did? Oh, well, he said that he wasn't going to recommend charging Trump with obstruction after Mueller also didn't recommend that. And then he said he was going to investigate the beginnings of the spying on Trump. That's it? That's this guy's massive crime? Like, I don't get it. Meanwhile, we're talking about double standards again. We had Eric Holder, who called himself Obama's wingman, right? And all the shadiness that went on with Fast and Furious and all the shadiness that went on with those two, it's just, I don't mind. Like, I wouldn't mind hearing criticism of Trump or of Barr from people that also shared those criticisms about Hillary Clinton or Obama and Holder and Lynch and things like that. But over and over, it's people that want to make excuses every single time that a Democratic administration did far worse, right? Lynch telling Comey not to call the investigation into Hillary an investigation, to call it a matter. We know she was putting her thumb on the scale. Her meeting Bill Clinton on the tarmac, right? All the shadiness that went on with that, they forgive that. The fact that she said, I'm not technically going to recuse myself, but I promise I'll listen to whatever the FBI recommends. Then we find out that the FBI's own notes say, basically Lynch's office said, hey, don't even bother recommending charges because we're not going to go through with it whatsoever. Like, that's real abuse from an attorney general that's refusing to look into her own party. What did Barr do that's even remotely comparable? Nothing. And yet we, ad nauseum, you just hear. And it's like the whole world's become Twitter, where all these people do, they're in an echo chamber. They just hear themselves all day. Yeah, Barr's bad. And then the next guy gets more and more amped up. It's like being at a sports game when you see, like, you know, like I'm from Pittsburgh, so like you'll see a bunch of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia fans like beat the crap out of each other. They're just hyping each other up the whole time. Yeah, Barr's a really bad guy. He's really bad, you know? And he didn't do anything. You talk to these people, you're like, okay, lay it down for me. What did he do? Well, I didn't really agree with his summary. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
I know.
You know
and
what,
even
though?
Mueller came out. Mueller had a chance to rebuke him and didn't. He praised him. He praised his release of the full report, which I don't know if I don't watch the late night shows, but I read this article on Jimmy Kimmel's show. He said, and I read it was with when Nancy Pelosi came on, and he said, he asked her if she had read it. And she said yes, and he's like, "Oh well, we haven't gotten a chance to read that yet, so hopefully we'll get that chance." It's like it's been released for like weeks. What are you talking about?
And keep in mind, he didn't have to release it, right? That it was a DOJ. The way it goes, listen to Trey Gowdy was against the release of the Mueller report to public, which I disagreed with him because I wanted to, as a member of the public, I want as much transparency as possible. But Gowdy's point, which is a good point, was we don't release stuff like this because anyone who's charged with a crime, you might find embarrassing stuff about, or investigated for a crime. You might find embarrassing stuff that have nothing to do with that crime. We don't then release all that information to public. So if you're not going to charge a crime, then that's it. The information isn't released. So their argument with Barr is he was already far more transparent than he had to be by releasing it, not just to Congress, but to the public. Then he puts forth a second version that's 99.08 something unredacted, but that they didn't read that. That wasn't good enough for them. But their complaint is that he released a summary 2 weeks before he released the full report. That's it? That's what your complaint is. It's transparent as possible. Meanwhile, talking about double standards again, and I think Rational hit on this earlier, like, meanwhile, while they're saying, we need total transparency, it does, and, you know, Barr's saying, well, there's ongoing investigations into Russia. We had to redact some of it. Well, there's grand jury testimony. We have to redact that. That's the law. They're saying, no, we demand full transparency. And then you just mosey right over here to Barr's like, okay, well, here's as much transparency as possible. And we're also going to try to have transparency with these FBI documents. That's Orwellian. That transparency is terrible. That transparency will destroy the FBI and it cost American lives. How can you be for transparency on one end and against it in the very same day? The very same people, the Adam Schiffs of the world, that they're for transparency so much that they're demanding Barr break the law or they'll hold him in contempt. But they're against any transparency that could make the FBI or Democrats look bad. It's it's unbelievable.
Did you happen to see what Comey tweeted out real quick, SJG? I want you to say what you want to say, but look at this tweet. Bill Barr on CBS offers no facts. An AG should not be echoing conspiracy theories. He should gather facts and show them. That is what justice is about. Like, what? Like, that's what he's doing. What are you... Like, Comey's dirty as fuck. Sorry, Cindy.
Yeah.
He is dirty, man. Like, that guy... It's like, look, so he investigated Hillary and then basically came out and said, oh, well, we could prosecute her because she has done all these things and gross negligence, but we're not going to because no serious prosecutor would do that. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine Mueller coming out and saying no serious prosecutor would charge Trump. Like, what in the hell?
But here, guys, listen, to lighten it up just a second.
Yes,
as you
please.
can see on the screen, there's something that can make us happy, right? Jesse Smollett indictments 16, Donald Trump 0.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah,
and
that's a
talking
good
about sealed facts coming out, I don't want to totally switch it off the Mueller thing here, but my heart does it does my heart happy to know that they're unsealing the documents on Smollett again, and I think that could give me another bump on my song. You know, people start googling them again. Maybe it gives me another bump on my Justice.
Yeah, I like it.
Check it out. It's a great song. It's a great song.
By the way, a quick shout out. I got to take this time to give a quick shout out. My sister RF Renee sitting next to me here. She helped write the lyrics on that song.
On the Smollett one?
50-50 on the Smollett one. Okay, I have to say she actually pretty much wrote the second verse.
We should go ahead and play the Smollett one. Let's go ahead and do it.
You should play it. But before you play it, I do want to give a shout out to everybody that's in here. To Kim or to RF Renee again. I do her one name. Anyways, she's got a book. She's got a book called Sedition's Gift, and it's on smashwords.com. Guys, go to smashwords.com. Put that up in the chat, moderator.
Smashwords.com.
Smashwords.com, and it's called Sedition's Gift. It's a badass book. You guys should download it and read it. It's really good. So
your sister wrote it?
Yeah.
Holy
it's
shit.
kind of a and it was funny the story. I don't mean to segue us, but I do have to give this plug. Back in the day, I used to be heavily into the conspiracy theories, and Kim, we'd talk, but we hadn't talked for a couple of years while she was writing this book. I mean, a little bit, but not much. And so she's telling me about her book, and I was like, oh, that's Agenda 21, and oh no, that's totally like what the Illuminati does, and that's this and that. And she's like, I don't even know that. I just was writing the book, and so it's a fictional book, but it's really well written. She's pretty smart. She's smarter than the average bear. She's way smarter than me, and that's not saying a whole lot. But anyways, it's awesome. Smashwords.com.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah, Sedition's
Maybe we
Gift.
should bring her on like one of these shows. Maybe the two of you each have a mic, and we talk to both of you.
Yeah, we should.
We can talk maybe about her book even. I mean,
yeah, that would be cool. I'd love to
Awesome.
have her do it. So yeah, that'd be great.
For sure. Yeah,
Anyways,
we'll do
okay.
that.
I hijacked it enough from the Mueller thing.
Well, no, I mean, you brought it up, and I'm like, oh god, I need to get one of those back braces that like forces you to sit up because I'm like, I'm gonna have like a hump here pretty soon. But I wanted to play his video here because it is actually a pretty good song, and why not break up our monotony here? Let us all go take a little pee break or something, and we'll play this for everybody.
All right,
I'll be right back.
All right. Jesse's got some friends with some MAGA hats, bleach, and some twine. And they're waiting down an alley cause he ain't too hard to find. Jesse's gonna get into a humongous freaking bind. And they're watching him leave Subway. And they're waiting for that spot without cameras, I know it. And they're staging this hoax late at night. It's a fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. A fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. Where can I find Nigerians like that? They played along with his charade, cause Jesse wanted his salary to change. You know he felt jealous cause Terrence Howard got paid more. He threw a temper tantrum without cameras, I know it. So they showed him the door. So he thought he concocted a lie. The media would push his narrative, he just knows it. So he called 911 late at night. It's a fake hate crime by Jesse's boy. A fake hate crime by Jesse's boy. Where can I find Nigerians like that? Like Jesse's boys. A fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. Right. Where can I find Nigerians? Where can I find Nigerians like that?
At this point, like, it took I did a live stream and someone called me by real name right out of the gate.
Has lost. He's lost the fight in the court of law.
CNN, CBS, NBC, cable news, they all said
sympathize. Hate crime lynching, they want us to believe
supposedly
the problem was it was all small lies.
I got to, side Jesse. I don't know what happened to Jesse, but what we do know is that racist. Why don't we believe this person? Why?
Where can I find Nigerians like that? Fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. A fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. Don Lemon blaming Jesse's boys. Where can I find Nigerians like that, like Jesse's boys? A fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. A fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. A fake hate crime by Jesse's boys. On that day, here in the uptown
Jesse?
Supply shop.
Come on, Jesse.
Juicy. It's gonna get juicy and.
Oh wow, my mic was muted. So the thing about the whole Smollett case is that, he lied about Trump. He lied about the whole MAGA attack thing, and he lost his show. All the people that were on Empire now have lost their jobs. Here's the thing, though, is that the media is never going to be out there saying, "Oh well, this all happened because of us and because of what we did and because of our propensity to." Jump at these stories and, our biased perspective of things causes us to do this, just like the MAGA kids thing. I mean, they do this over and over again, but the problem is they're never, ever going to pay a real price. I mean, they'll pay a price in ratings, but will that end them? Will that make them go away? I don't think so. And the country will never reflect on what they've done because they're not going to hold themselves accountable. So it's a pretty fucked up situation we're in, I think. Robert?
Yeah, I agree. You see it over and over again. And remember, the Smollett is just off the back of the Covington kids, like you said, that during the Covington situation, which, by the way, directly followed the embarrassment of the media and the Kavanaugh situation, with the embarrassing where they reporting that Kavanaugh was leading gang rape parties and beating up people on boats while he was raping women on boats.
Right.
Stories that were garbage. They never verified.
And the Cohen. They had a fake Cohen story, I remember, just before that, too. But anyway, yeah.
And by the way, let me just, as an aside from that with the Kavanaugh thing, just real quick. There were tons of stories about Barack Obama being in a secret gay relationship with a guy named Larry Sinclair. Doing drugs with, but no media outlet reported that because they had a little credibility and were like, look, we don't just report innuendo. But it's because they only make these, quote, mistakes going one direction when it hurts Republicans, when it hurts Trump. So they won't make that mistake when it hurts a Democrat.
Well, and don't forget Avenatti. My mic was muted. I was talking, thinking you guys could hear me. Don't forget Avenatti. We're talking about all these fake stuff going out. How much they were fawning over Avenatti beforehand, and he was going to run for president. He could be the one who's going to take down Trump, and then all of a sudden he comes out for the slime ball that he is. And then where's all the complete backtracking or coverage on that? They just brush that in there. I just love it. Like when they get their noses rubbed in the shit that they try to. Sorry, Cindy. When they get their crap nose shoved in the crap of what they are pushing on us when these stories backfire, like the Covington kids and everything else. It's just my hot button, or Ryan Dronetek. He talks a lot. He does such a great job of taking down CNN and MSNBC and all this, and the hypocrisy there. I love also pointing out the hypocrisy to music and to funny little which I got a good couple ones. I got a good couple ones coming out, but I'm talking. I lost.
Here's the thing, though, is and Rush Limbaugh. I still listen to Rush from time to time, although I'll say he's fallen behind. He's fallen behind, I think, in this movement. He was the father of it, but he's kind of lost He's not as good as he used to be. But anyway, he actually talked about this a little bit and was just saying that, we can keep calling out their hypocrisy all we want, but what good has it done for 2 decades? We've been doing it. What good does it do? Because ultimately, they are the gatekeepers. So
yeah, but I disagree. I mean, I agree with you. What good has it done? But you see what they're doing now to the social media and to YouTubers and all the conservative or just the, they call them the internet dark way, the centrists really. Cause there's you take Tim Cass, for instance, right? Tim Pool, he's a liberal, but he's just a central liberal. He's somebody in the back back 10 years ago, we would have debated on abortion or on economics, but now we're allies because the left has gone so far left and so far off the rails that they are it's just ridiculous. And now everybody's too damn scared to say anything that is not PC correct or accepted. And I think, though, getting to your point, Dronetek, that you say, what good does it do? It definitely has done some good because they're scared of us, and that's why they're trying to shut us all down. And I think that something else will pop up, even if they effectively really try to silence our voice. I know other things are going to pop up, but I think we're doing what we need to be doing, and it is help. It's maybe a cup of water in the pool, but it's everyone's pouring a cup of water in. You're going to fill the pool up eventually. I don't know. That's a terrible.
I agree. I think you're right. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to ask Rational. I had seen 2 stories from Australia recently that kind of go in this vein that I wanted to ask about. The first was kind of the general reaction to a lot of immigrants coming in from, I'm not exactly sure where the country, but it ended up being a lot of Islamic immigration. And it seemed to me as an outsider that certainly there were some bad characters that the media could point to and say, look at this person, he's a Nazi and he doesn't like these immigrants. But it seemed that they were tarring everyone who had reasonable concerns with a spiking crime with that brush. And then in that same vein, the shock of the Australian media, it seemed, when it turned out that the left-leaning party did not have the easy victory in these recent elections. So are you seeing kind of some of the same things in the Australian media where it's dominated by this kind of left-wing establishment and they're trying to censor other voices?
Yes, absolutely. So, we had an example of a senator here, Fraser Anning. He was attacked by Egg Boy, or Soy Boy, as I like to call him, and the media turned him into a hero. Whereas if that was done to somebody from the left of politics, the media would be hysterical and calling for the guy, bring back the death penalty and take the guy out. We have a media who largely covers up some of the horrendous crimes that are being undertaken by a particular demographic in Australia, which is Sudanese migrants. And, look, I have to qualify this. I know some people from that community. I know some of the stuff that these guys have been through, but we have some serious issues with gangs. And Australia has never really been a country that's had gang issues. We marvel at in America, you can have Antifa getting out on the streets and rioting and attacking people because we can't be bothered. We'd just rather go to the pub and have a beer and just have an argument over a beer. We're very lethargic and kick back. And so this kind of stuff is very confronting for Australians. But the media are doing all that they can to downplay what's actually occurring within those communities. And there's some bad stuff going on. And on the other hand, to attack and demonize anyone who says anything about it. So the default position of the media here is if you speak about these crimes, you must be a Nazi because the people committing those crimes are not the kinds of people that Nazis endorse. But that is an obscene way to look at the world. There's no reality. Like a bad thing is a bad thing, no matter who does it. I don't care if you're white, black, green, pink, purple, it's irrelevant. If you do something bad, if you're acting in a bad way, you're a bad actor. And we need to talk about that. Race should not be an issue. But unfortunately, that kind of madness of the SJW that affects the United States, it affects us here because our left aren't very original or intelligent. They can only do what they
It's worldwide, dude. Yeah.
They parrot what's being done in the United States. And of course, the problem that has for us is we don't have a First Amendment. So when the left says that your freedom to speak is bad, it really has an impact here. Like it doesn't for you guys because you have that little bit of paper that says that you have a guaranteed right to speak. We don't. So yes, we see
which
all
is being chipped
the
away at constantly.
Hey guys, can I read one of my next commercial parodies that I'm going to make? I just rough drafted out. It's so
And then
anybody
after that, SJG, when you're done with that, we're going to talk about DMT. Good.
Okay. Sweet. Are we talking about the drug DMT?
DMT.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
it's kind of a meme if anybody watches Joe Rogan. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So this is totally rough. I haven't completely worded it right yet, but this is how it's going to go. It's going to go like this. In a world where, I'll start again. In a world where in a world where the word man denotes toxicity of an ever-increasing degradation of societal patriarchal depression, where the hormones ingested from the life-nurturing liquid of bovine teat excretion is causing mass aggression from the oppressive hands of the unintentionally and ignorantly oblivious white privileged male, we bring you Soy Boy Cloy. Soy Boy Cloy is meant to twist your tongue as it twists your darkened soul within you. Soy Boy Cloy will bring you closer to understanding the camouflage depravity hiding just beneath your lightly pigmented skin. Soy Boy Cloy is 110% organic, non-GMO, gender misogynistic, oppressive, harvested consequentially from the free range. Sorry, I gotta start over. Harvested. Consensual. Okay, yeah, sorry. Harvested consensually from the free reign social justice warriors by certified woke, abusive free SBC technicians in a zero transmission, self-sustaining, solar-powered, Algora-approved South American indigenous village sustainability and milking practices. Soy Boy Cloy can be taken orally, or for those of you who Soy Boy can be taken orally, or for those of you who are on the go and anally retentive. It also comes as a convenient suppository. Each bottle of Soy Boy Cloy comes individually shipped in a biodegradable, earth-friendly rice paper. Order now, and we will include a Roy Bibb collector's edition 7-pack of Gillette new woke brand razors. Each razor tastefully representing one color of the rainbow. Soy Boy Cloy, bringing out the non-binary in you.
Yes. Dude, that's brilliant. I like it. That's freaking hilarious, man.
So I'm gonna word it out a little better, and then put that together with the little
Dude,
video.
You need to be pumping out shit, man. You're like, that's hilarious. I love it.
Very good. It's funny.
And, I do have to give props to. I do have to give props to RF Renee on that one. She did help me with a little bit of the verbiage. She is a writer.
We need to get her more on. She needs to start joining this, I think. Why is she hiding now? Actually.
Oh, she just. I don't have the mic over there for her, and she didn't want to.
Okay, well, we'll do it next time, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's funny, like that idea. Isn't it always funny how we were talking about how you don't want to weaponize something because even though it's helping you now, it could be used against your friends eventually. Isn't it funny that all of this idea, like kind of what you were joking around about there, kind of came as a result of feminism? And now we're reaching what those of us that had half a brain and could foresight into the future told them would happen. When you start to say that gender is a choice and that all this stuff's non-binary, blah, 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 it's all socially constructed, you start to take away the unique benefits of being a woman. And so now, God forbid you have a daughter that wants to compete in athletics. Sorry, you might as well take a seat because men are better at women than you now.
Right.
That's the logical extrapolation of how this ends.
No, yeah, I just did my last video for everybody to go check out too. My last video was on that very thing of the similarities between transgenderism and transracialism, and how the transgender community doesn't accept the transracial argument, and they say that it is not the same and you can't compare the two. And my last video I did on that kind of blew that up pretty well, that concept.
Yeah. Well, then it goes beyond that, right? There's trans species. You have people that are otherkin and things and this is the ridiculous nature of culture. Like, I rant a lot about cultural Marxism, but without getting into too much what it is, like just kind of the victimhood culture, we'll say, just to simplify it, which is when you start to look at yourself as like a victim, there's always going to be someone that's more of a victim than you. And so they want these special groups. So maybe it was, well, I happen to be gay and that's otherized. And so that makes me a victim. But then someone came along and said, yes, but I'm transgender. So that's even more otherized. And then someone might come along and say, yes, but actually I'm transgendered and I'm disabled. So that makes me more otherized.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, what ends up happening, and Jordan Peterson talks about this, when you start separating yourself into these groups, the irony is that if you have any foresight, the ultimate victim is the individual, right? because you can keep going out. There's always a marginalized group from any marginalized group. And so when you take that out to the total extreme end, the ultimate victim, the ultimate marginalized person is you specifically. Whatever it may be, all the individual groups which is ironically, which us like libertarian or individualist-minded people said in the first place. We should focus on the individual. Focusing on all these groups is stupid because there's always a more marginalized group around the corner. And so, ironically, the end result of all this social justice garbage is they'll eventually find out 30 years down the road, like, oh yeah, it's the individual. That's what it's about.
Well, it's like, it's so crazy because what you're saying is absolutely true. You get like the whole victim Olympics meme. That's what it's based on. It's like almost like it's self-destroying. Like this ideology cannot survive, especially because so much of it's made up of people who don't reproduce with each other too, which is kind of weird. But it's like, the whole thing is just gonna destroy itself because they'll go to war with each other ultimately. Because what you just said, because ultimately they'll all break down into their victims groups and war with each other over who is the best victims group.
We're already seeing that happen a little bit.
Oh yeah.
One of the great ironies of the trans movement is the fact that women back 30, 40 years ago were complaining about the patriarchy and men dominate everything. But now women have created this system where if you're a trans man, in inverted commas, you are now superior to women. So by default, women as SJWs and feminists have created a system that allows for the re-entrenching of the patriarchy in a way that it probably has never been before. All a man has to do in an argument with a woman now is say, I'm a woman, and he automatically wins because he has more oppression points than the woman. Right. It's a bizarrely ironic thing. Women have set up a system to defeat their own aim of becoming equal with men. They're saying men can be better than us. They can have more oppression points just by claiming to be a woman.
Right.
You know what? I am a woman, and you have made a valid point, and I want to unsign up for whatever this cuckoo nest is.
Well, and real quick, internet god, I don't drink coffee, so I don't need decaf. This is natural energy and ranting that I have. But no, like what you're talking about, rational. Like look in the U.S. One of the big debates we're having here recently, which is always
just about. We're wrapping up here. I should be done in 5 minutes.
The abortion debate, where on one hand you have women saying men have no say whatsoever in reproductive rights because they can't get pregnant. Now, on the other hand, you could read articles that says first transgender man gives birth. Like, you can't have it both ways. If there's a biological difference, then you're saying, well, because of this biological difference, only women should have a say in abortion, which, by the way, is a terrible argument. But the same people that make that argument also say, by the way, gender is socially constructed and there's no differences between the sexes. Right. So you can see their argument, but it doesn't, not to get too heavy into it, but it doesn't matter that it's not logical because logic is just another oppressive form of the patriarchy anyways. The entire idea of cultural Marxism and postmodernism is that truth and logic don't exist. It's all just a power struggle. And so they can directly contradict themselves by saying men shouldn't have a say in certain things. But on the other hand, there is no such thing as men. We're all just socially constructed. It's stupid.
Which brings me actually to another point I want to make real quick, guys. If anybody's out there, somebody who wants to argue and debate, likes to argue and debate, somebody from the left-hand side of things, somebody who knows their shit, I want to bring them on this live stream on Saturdays. So if you know somebody...
so on that note, my son has been wanting to do a you've probably seen him in my in some of my chat comments and my videos. He actually has been wanting to debate with me. And he's very smart, big time into philosophy, and he's kind of communist leaning. He doesn't believe in all the craziness of the attack on free speech, but he definitely is a supporter of kind of the intersectionality stuff, and he's definitely a Bernie type supporter and a Zizek,
Your son?
Yeah, my older son.
Did you that debate on the Peterson?
But I don't know if I want to bring. I don't know if this is the best thing for. I don't know. I'd almost rather have somebody that we could rip on if we needed to.
Yeah, like I would only be able to debate him purely on the principles because I don't know enough about communism. Honestly, I just know I don't want it.
Yeah, right.
But if you wanted to debate just the principles, I could do that.
What's that, Rat?
I was a communist for quite some time. So, back in the day when I was a young, sort of a teenager, I started reading and getting into politics and philosophy and that kind of thing. And I discovered Noam Chomsky pretty early on, and I liked him. So I was hard into the communist kind of thing, back in the Cold War days. So, if you do want to know,
how old are you?
Communism, I'm old.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to tell me exactly. Are you in the fourth quarter or the third quarter?
I'm around 50, so at the midpoint, hopefully.
Okay. I'm getting there myself, bro.
With nanotech, you'll live to be 120.
Yeah,
yes.
Rat. Maybe we should set it up to where Rat and him can, and he'd be respectful. And I could talk to him. He's not going to be. It could be a respectful back and forth. But I mean, he definitely. That's part of the reason why too. I mean, I don't want to go with him. It's just because it's too personal. It's too one-on-one. Maybe he and I will do one on my channel someday. But maybe that'd be a good one for like Rational, because I trust Rational is not going to be a dick to him, but he's also going to. Sorry, Cindy. But he's also going to be able to raise some valid points, and maybe that's a good way to do it. I don't know. Just some thoughts.
Yeah, and let me ask you real quick. Which, by the way, I talked to Dronetek about this before. That's exactly what we should be doing. Trying to have civil debates with people that we disagree with. You learn more, both to buttress your opinions, and maybe your mind will be changed by talking to people that disagree with you. But SJG, did you see the debate between Jordan Peterson and Zizek?
I did watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the irony now. The problem is when you get two people like that are such intellectuals, they speak in kind of a verbose way that they kind of miss the forest for the trees, I think. So I think a lot of that was going on. But the irony was, and I predicted this would be the case, they actually agree with each other about 80% of things. And so it really is like, Zizek's very honest about the failures of communism, and he's also very critical of a lot of the social justice movement type people. Yeah. Yet he's a postmodernist. So it's very interesting. I think that some people, myself included at times, are guilty of judging someone based on what we think they'll say as opposed to really hearing them out. And so that's why, even if that wasn't the greatest debate in the world, it really did show something that I firmly believe. I have friends in my life that are Bernie supporters, that are big communists, that are in favor of socialism, that hate Trump. And one of the things I try to do with my channel, and I always talk to them about, is we're still friends at the end of the day, and we still agree on what we want the outcomes to be. We all want a world where, people could live happy and basically make their own choices and be well employed and have meaningful lives that are healthy. It's just how do we get there, capitalism, socialism. And so I think that those debates are important, and I would love to get people on here that disagree with us.
I think that is a critical point too. Sorry to just jump in there.
No, go for it.
If people on the left, we view them as being factually incorrect. They view us as being morally wrong, and that immediately sets that tone for them to attack. Whereas if we can come in to a debate situation with somebody from the left and say, we want a world that's where people are free, we want a world that's fair, we want a world where you can start off being the poorest of the poor and you can work your way out through hard work to becoming a wealthy, successful person, that's not something that they can easily disagree with and write us off as being evil people. Right, so that actually gives us then a framework within which we can discuss an issue without it sort of, devolving into a personal attack. Because we can be looking at an issue and we can have that common ground of we want a fair and a free and a just world where people have the chance to succeed based on their effort.
Here's the problem. I agree with you, but I'll tell you, as somebody I've watched a ton of videos and I've been out there actually interviewing people, and I'll tell you that there's something weird. The left, they have all these views that they want to express, but they don't want to have to back them up or argue for them. Whereas if you talk to people on the other side, and I'm hesitant to call them right because right's become like a bad word, but people who just disagree with the other side, they're willing to talk and debate, and they typically want to. And I can already tell all of us, we love to talk about things and discuss them and debate them. The other side does not. They like to chant slogans. They like to blare. They like to beat drums. They like to throw Molotov cocktails. These people don't like. This is why on all fronts the right's being silenced, because we are the ones out there doing it. Like on YouTube, we are the ones on YouTube doing this shit. No, the left isn't.
Yep. No, and the that is, it ties into the whole postmodern ideology that says you can't have a discussion with those who believe in the meta narrative and in truth, and in these absolutes, because that's all part of the construct. So unless you're quote unquote red pilled and woke, or whatever, on the left, woke, you can't have a conversation. That's what they say, but it's also because they're really, when you put their feet to the fire on these subjects, their ideas and logic doesn't stand up. But again, logic and rationale is not our rationale, but rational thought.
Yeah, leave me out of this.
It doesn't stand. That's postmodernism is against that. It's against science and logic. It says that there is no such thing as science and logic.
Right.
That's a part of the construct.
You're absolutely right, and it's all power struggle, right? It's irrelevant to have a debate with someone that disagrees with you to postmodernists, because they believe everything's just a power struggle. And so by even having a debate with someone, you've given power to the enemy.
Right.
So your best bet is to know. And the other thing I'll say, and that's certainly true, I agree with everything you said there. One thing, though, that I think that's kind of an irony is I always look at life like we have traditional ideas of, what makes us lucky, or what did we get privilege from? And a lot of times, if you look, there could actually be something gained in the reverse of that. So I'll give you an example. I think that we would all agree here that right-wings, people that identify as conservative or right-wing around the world, are basically the underdogs right now. We have this massive system of cultural influence, whether it be media, academia, entertainment industry. It all seems to be geared towards the left wing. But what that does is it actually strengthens us as individuals, because when your ideas are being mocked or challenged all of the time, it makes for a better argument for you. You learn the facts. You learn how to present your point of view in a positive way. I was in collegiate debate. Everyone's left-wing, like the left of the left in collegiate debate in the United States. So I learned how to defend my positions in a way that could at least get some in-ground to them. These poor people, if you grow, like the best is when you watch celebrities talk. There'll be some left-wing celebrity like Robert De Niro, or someone will just say something completely stupid. They've never had anyone their entire life challenge them. And it's the same with these left-wing ideologies, a lot of them. They've gone through university where everyone just agreed with them their whole life. And so when they actually get into an intellectual debate with someone who doesn't agree with them, they're ill-equipped to handle it. Not everyone, but I'm saying in general. So in a weird way, we ironically, as individuals, are benefiting because we have this huge establishment that's against the ideas we believe, and that allows us to become stronger people and more intelligent people to be able to kind of get any inroads in that to push back.
Well, that's very true. Yeah, and that's a very true statement. I'll say, as somebody who's come up from, I used to post on a forum called somethingawful.com. Some of you out there might know what that is, and I used to debate people on there, and I was a minority, and I feel like. I really came up through that because these people held me to such a high standard, and ever since then I've been debating, and it's the same for all of us, I think, and we've all been arguing and trying to defend ourselves, and so we are forged in the fires of warfare when it comes to debate. We're good at it. The other side, they're coddled. They don't often have to they don't have to defend their side. They just know what things to say in order to get the pat on the back. And so that's the difference.
We have an advantage and a disadvantage in a way, in that we actually have to argue facts, and our facts can be looked at. And the left, they love to fact check people on the right, even though the left hate facts. But it does put us at a disadvantage in that sense, that they can just argue feelings, and how do you argue against feelings? But we also have an advantage in the sense that we are forced to learn to debate. We are forced to learn to defend our arguments and to rely on reasoning rather than emotion. And I think that actually works well for us if you can get past the emotion of somebody on the left, because obviously they're going to stonewall you with fifis for as long as they possibly can. But they are not equipped for the debate. They're not equipped for discussion. That does sort of open a window for us to get through.
Right, and which is why they're trying to strangle us on all the platforms, which is why we're dealing with what we are, which is why we're all here today and doing what we're doing in the first place. We're all trying to fight back against that. But I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, everybody for being here watching us. go to all these guys' channels, subscribe, support all of us, because you want to know something? There's fewer and fewer, even Fox News. Look, Fox News is arguably our biggest fighter at this point, even though I hate Fox News. I don't give a shit about it, but they are the most visible, biggest fighter for us, and even they are coming under attack. They seem to be falling back. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep doing what we're doing. We need your support, all of us. SJG, Robert, Rational Wrong Think. You know what? I can't ask all of you to come and give us all money, but we need something. We need you to like our videos. We need you to share us. We need you to subscribe to us. We need something. We need you guys to come to us and to back us up, because that's the only way we can continue doing this. And the truth is, you need us. And especially as we're coming up to the 2020 election, the media is the bad guy. Okay? They are. Yeah. And we are the good guys. I think all of us here, I love SJG, I love Robert. These guys are freedom fighters. They're truth tellers. They love this country. They love the principles it was founded on. So you should support us. And that's all I'm trying to get across. And I'm going to end on that. Anybody else want to say anything?
I just want to say thank you so much, Dronetek, for being a platform with the reach you have of bringing us in and kind of building what we're doing here. And I think it's going to develop really nicely. And into we'll do commercials and ads and funny parodies, and it'll be a fun time to discuss ideas, laugh, and just but I want to give a big shout out and thank you to you for having us.
Well,
too.
thanks, man.
Yeah,
together we are strong. Together we are strong. It's true.
Absolutely.
Can I echo that and just thank you for giving me the opportunity to appear on your channel, and also to say that I think that this is another of the positives of social media going on the attack against us. We are beginning, because the right, people on the right, and the conservative, libertarian, we've always been strongly individualistic. That no longer works. So we actually need to be uniting. I encourage people that are on the conservative, libertarian side of politics to start making content, to start putting stuff out there, because social media will keep on silencing our voices while few of us are speaking. But if we get a lot more people speaking and a lot more people involved in a group where we actually work together like the left do, and I'm not talking about creating outrage mobs and beating people on the street, but I'm talking about us, working together, building a system of people who speak. That is going to be a major contributing factor to the end of the
monopoly
of free speech, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and real quick, thanks again, Drone. It was great meeting you, Rational. SJG, you're awesome as always. Your parodies crack me up. It's fantastic. But yeah, just echo that real quick. I remember a time where I wondered, is there anyone who thinks like me? Even close? Is there anyone who's watching this news channel and is disgusted as I am? And so, that's one of the things. We
all are, buddy. We all are.
Yeah, right. Drone channels like you and you, SJG, and Rational, it's great to hear from people. And I second what Rational's saying. You should support us. You really should. But get out there and do what you can as an individual yourself as well. Let people know. You don't have to be some, bookworm or nerd or, someone who doesn't have fun to, actually take an interest in this.
Case in point.
With where our, lives are going, with the way that we have just kind of, I saw someone tweet today that we are actually in an age where Snowden said this. He said, there is more control over human thought by large corporations and government today than there has been at any point in history. So it's important for us to be speaking out. So.
Yeah. Well, I agree, and I thank you all for coming and doing that. And I think that we're going to build a network here of people who are like us, like-minded, people who want to make videos, make content, get on YouTube, and spread our message and be a force. Because guess what? We need a force to fight the mainstream media at this point, because they're dying. Now is the time, okay? They're dying. They're weak. We're powerful. We're growing. Amen. They're not. They're shrinking. Now's the time.
Amen.
So let's keep doing it. Let's keep coming back here. Every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be here doing a show. And all throughout the week, these guys are doing shows. So you got Robert, you got SJG doing shows, you got The other guy,
Rational.
Rational. I'm sorry, Rational.
Thanks, mate.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That Aussie guy down
I've
under
had
guy.
like 3 drinks at this point, so Rational Wrong thing. Yes, thank you. We have all these guys, so join us. Come on, let's do it. And come back here next Saturday. Come all through the week. I'll be doing videos. These guys will be doing videos. We'll come back here Saturday. We'll wrap it up. And thanks again.
See you.
We'll do it again next Saturday, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
Good night. Bye.